this summit is a good place to take a snapshot
Right.
of that, because there are people from 31 countries, certainly the United States, UK, Australia, and a number of other countries, including countries in South America here. And the people who come are all leaders in specific areas
Right.
in those various countries. It's very impressive to see how influential they are, how thoughtful and knowledgeable they are, and which is what makes them leaders in whatever they're doing in those countries. I think this is a new phenomenon in many ways to see a country's diaspora so almost ubiquitous everywhere. You have in diaspora, highly qualified, um, generally at upper levels of income, and they can, as the diaspora's goal
Right.
suggests, be a force for good.
Right.
So even like this brings them all together to address issues that are of importance, not just to the Indian diaspora, actually global issues. Like today there were conversations on women's empowerment, that Cherry Blair was talking about, and about inclusivity. And so it's a broad conversation. I think that the Indian diaspora can begin to get more involved with India itself. Certainly for myself, I'm very involved in the US-India corridor in multiple ways, but most intensely in terms of investment, in terms of focusing on deep tech synergies between the two countries, companies that can start in India and address global markets via the United States, and similarly US companies that can place their development operations in India. So a lot of high quality work being done from India to support companies that start in the US. I think that's one of the areas you will see the diaspora doing more and more. It's already happening.
Right.
And we'll see a lot more of it. The global scale of that is going to really increase. Today we see a lot between the US and India. I would expect we're going to see more between the UK and India, Australia and India, other countries in India. The day of the Prime Minister's visit, President Trump had put out his doctrine of reciprocal tariffs.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I thought was, the timing I thought was a little bit aggressive.
Right.
But I thought the Prime Minister really did a very good job of connecting. I think Indian diplomacy and US diplomacy, for that matter, scored some triumphs that day because they managed to find a way to have a conversation and to buy space to address issues, with the deliberation that it requires. So I actually thought that it was a good outcome from the Indian side, definitely, and also I think the US side, because it's important for the US to have a stable relationship with India that can be thoughtful and deliberate. Good resolution of this issue is to have ideally a free trade agreement between two countries. That would be the eventual resolution. Free trade agreements are politically challenging, but once they're done, it can really give great benefit to both parties. And we have seen that in so many other free trade agreements around the world, that they can be beneficial. May not be a complete free trade agreement, but can be a preferential trade agreement, but some kind of way in which these birds under the saddle can be addressed, and if not excised, somehow ameliorated. Now, it is an issue that people find tariffs on many items to be extremely high from India, whereas the US tariffs are generally low.
Right.
So naturally, the US says, I'm only charging 3%, and I'm being charged, double-digit percentages.
Right.
So it's natural. So it needs to be addressed, and for both parties. But I mean, look at India. After liberalization in 1991, when India decided to take on global competition, things just lifted. The country went on a different growth trajectory. I think that India has got the talent and the capabilities to be able to take on global competition in many more areas. So should not shy away from doing that. So I think some of the big milestones over time has been to get involved in more and more areas. I should call out India's Diaspora's engagement in the whole G20, B20 conversation last year.
Right.
I thought that was a really special one where it was almost like a track 2 dialogue, where it's a track 2.5 or something, as you call it. But it was a non-governmental dialogue, but it pulled in people from the diaspora from around the world to look at issues that were important to all the G20 countries. So I thought it was a high mark of India's foreign engagement.